for Rivals.com. I'm national recruiting analyst John Garcia Jr. And ladies and gentlemen, we are right there. Just one more week until pen meets paper for National Signing Day 2024. Of course, it's the first day of the early signing period, but look, it's the de facto signing day as far as the recruiting industry is concerned. More than 80% of prospects will come off the board on December 20th. So naturally, there are a ton of storylines to follow, and we begin with the nation's maybe most competitive conference, the Southeastern Conference, especially when it comes to recruiting. In the SEC, it's been about Georgia and Alabama at the top, and those are the top two programs rolling into the final week of the cycle as things currently stand. But early in the week, you've probably heard by now, the biggest news in college football recruiting surrounds Georgia's highest ranked recruit and the number one quarterback in the country, Dylan Raiola, longtime Georgia commit. Before that, he was pledged to Ryan Day and Ohio State. But the other school that was involved really the entirety of the process with him is the school where his last name, Raiola, is synonymous. It's the Nebraska Cornhuskers. And the breaking news early in the week was that Raiola was going to make one last trip to Nebraska before National Signing Day. So obviously, all of the flip alerts, message boards, social media notifications have been on 10 because this could shake up the recruiting rankings, obviously the destination for the number one quarterback in the country, and maybe single-handedly revive a lack of positive perception around the Nebraska football program. So huge news in the SEC, and it becomes a will he stay or will he go? And the timing is quite fascinating, right? Dylan Raiola moved across the country to play his final season of high school football at Buford High in Georgia, so he could be less than an hour's drive from Athens, Georgia, of course, home to UGA, where he has long been committed, I believe, since May. So to do that and then use the last weekend of the cycle to go back up to Nebraska feels like a whole lot more than a courtesy visit because, hey, I'm a legacy recruit. My family is synonymous with here. There's nothing left for Dylan to learn in Lincoln, Nebraska. So naturally, a lot of folks believe this visit will lead to an eventual flip from Raiola, moving on from Georgia and becoming clearly a class headliner for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. And why is that big in the SEC? I mentioned some dominoes earlier. It could also affect the final standings. Right now, Georgia 1, Alabama 2 in the conference. That could easily create momentum for Alabama to overtake the Bulldogs when all is said and done. The Crimson Tide have been surging of late, and they just added a 5-star in Ryan Williams, who reclassified from 2025 to the 2024 class, and they've got a lot of prospects ahead looking to make a final decision that will have an Alabama hat on the table. Kawan Lacey, Solomon Williams come to mind, Daniel Hill, Xavier Mincy, a lot of prospects favor Edwin that have Bama as a finalist at the 11th hour. So if Bama wins more than they lose down the stretch, which is typical under Nick Saban, maybe Bama finishes as the top program in the SEC, which would stand for the second cycle in a row after Alabama took home the Rivals Recruiting National Championship. So never a lack of drama in SEC country. All eyes are on Dylan Raiola, how that affects Georgia and Alabama at the very top. But there's also some other storylines that we're tracking as National Signing Day creeps closer. How will Florida fare? At one point, the number 3 program in the country in the recruiting rankings, but they've lost 4 recruits over the last month, and 3 of their top recruits are being contested by other programs, including quarterback DJ Lagway. So that will be something to watch. And then how the new coaches perform. Mike Elko at Texas A&M, Jeff Levy at Mississippi State. For Elko, it's about maintenance. Can you hold on to Terry Bussey? Can you hold on to Dominic McKinley? And then with Levy, how much more can you add? We've seen Michael Van Buren, an All-American, make that move to Mississippi State. Mario Craver has jumped on board. Can you add another group of skill prospects to reinforce that positive offensive perception that is gathering in Starkville? So no shortage of storylines in SEC country, and of course, we'll have it all tracked for you right here on Rivals.com.